Hi class, it's me again for another video recording. So for today's video, I'm going to discuss to you all about theories of crime and criminal behavior. So let us start first in understanding what is behavior. So when we say behavior, we refer to any actions, or we refer to the way on how we move, how we communicate, okay, how we talk to other people, how do we express ourselves. So almost anything na ginagawa natin can be said as behavior. So halos lahat ng ginagawa natin sa buhay natin, okay? Pakikipag-usap natin, paano yung pakikitungo natin sa classmate natin, paano natin i-express yung sarili natin. Okay? So we refer to those as behaviors. And then under behaviors, we have classifications also. Meron dyan normal behavior and abnormal behavior. So what is the difference or main difference between those two? So if we say normal behavior by the word normal, so we refer to those behaviors or actions or acts that are accepted by every people, or in a way na katanggap-tanggap sa mata ng bawat tao. Okay? So those are we refer to as normal behavior. Okay? So when we say abnormal naman, okay, ito naman yung kabaliktaran. So anything, these are usually the actions that are not acceptable by every people. So hindi katanggap-tanggap sa bawat mata ng bawat tao. So yun yung tinutukoy natin na abnormal behavior. An example of abnormal behavior that we could say is, ikaw ay may asawa, ikaw ay babae, ikaw na ay may asawa, and then nakikipagtalik ka sa ibang tao or ibang lalaki. So that is actually an abnormal, or that is not acceptable by other people or sa mata ng bawat tao. Hindi yan katanggap-tanggap, di ba? That because it is not in accordance with the standards of the community or the members of the society. Or in other words, papasok pa yan as criminal behavior. Bakit? It is considered in our criminal law na pakikipagtalik sa hindi mo asawa, especially if ikaw ay legal na kinasal. Okay? Merong dokumento, and then yun, ikaw ay kasal. You are a married person, and then nakipagtalik ka sa ibang lalaki, then you are committing a crime of adultery. So yun, that is classified, or yung action na ginawa mo, that is in violation of criminal law. So that is also one definition that we could give, or one example that we could give under criminal behavior, because it says here, criminal behavior is an intentional behavior that violates the criminal law. Take note of that. So meaning any actions, okay, any actions or any conducts that we usually violates our criminal law are classified as criminal behaviors. Okay? Killing a person, so that is a violent behavior, and it is also considered as criminal behavior. It's because that is in violation of our criminal law. Pag pumatay ka ng tao, that is violation of our criminal law. Specifically, you can be charged of murder, homicide, parricide, or infanticide. Okay? So yun, anong pagkakaiba ng apat na yun? So pag pinatay mo, intentionally, there is a premeditated plan, okay, or intention. Pinagplanuhan mong patayin, then you can be, that could qualify your case as murder. Pero yan, sabihin natin napatay mo siya accidentally. Wala ka namang intention na patayin. So, self-defense yung ginawa mo. Okay? So, that is classified only as homicide. Pwedeng ganun yung maikaso lang sa'yo. Homicide. Pero yun, but you can be justified because of self-defense. Okay? Or yun, wala kang plano. Hindi mo pinagplanuhan na patayin siya. So yun, napatay mo yung tao na yan, nag-iinuman lang kayo, nagkagulo-gulo kayo, then lalasing kayong dalawa, nabaril mo yung taong yun. So that is only, that could fall under a crime of homicide only. So parricide naman, kapag yung pinatay mo is asawa mo, okay? Asawa mo, nanay, tatay mo, you can be charged of crime of parricide. And then infanticide naman, kapag pinatay mo is bata or an infant or baby. So, take note, a baby that is less than 3 days old. So, yun yung tinatawag natin na infanticide. So, anyway, those kinds of crimes that can be further discussed to you in your subject criminal law if you reach third year level or second year. And then another one, it says here beyond normal behavior. So simply criminal behaviors are beyond normal behavior. So in other words, abnormal behaviors, as we have mentioned a while ago. Just take note, criminal behavior, all those actions, all those conducts that are in violation or that violates our criminal law or our laws that are being passed in our society, implemented in our society, then that is classified as criminal behavior. So now we have here the general approaches in this study of crime. So it says here, there is a need to categorize or group these theories. So actually, meron din tayong division of theories. So nandyan, we are going to discuss later on dun sa theories of crime kung session ninyo na subject, madidiscuss nyo lahat-lahat ng theories na yun. Meron kasi yung tinatawag natin na sociological theories. Focus on those environment ng tao. Okay? Yung theory na yun. And then, biological theories, nandyan naman, nakafocus dun sa mentality, dun sa tao mismo, dun sa criminal mismo, yung ini-study nila. And then, developmental theories and other kind of theories. So, in here, let us try first to discuss on the approaches. So it was classified into 3 also, criminological approaches. Number 1, there is subjective, second one is objective, and last is contemporary approaches. So what is the difference between those 3? So let us try to analyze it here. Let us start first on subjective approaches. So when we say subjective approaches, it deal mainly on the biological explanation of crimes. So meaning it is focused more on the person itself. It is focused on the criminal itself. So we are going to study identifying the forms of abnormalities that was experienced by criminal before, during, and after committing the crime. So we are going to focus the mentality. Okay? We are going also to focus on the physical constitution of the person, and then so long as it focuses on the criminal itself. Physical characteristics, mentality, behavior, and so on. So let us try to have here anthropological approach. So under a subjective approach, meron tayo yung anthropological approach. So it is focused, an approach that is focused on studying the physical characteristics of the offenders. So yun, it is with the attempt to discover physical differences between criminals and non-criminals. But actually, is there a difference between physical characteristics of a person? Between physical characteristics of a criminal person and a non-criminal person. So, meron bang pagkakaiba? Criminal ba is mas pangit and then guwapo yung yung non-criminal? So actually, hindi mo masasabi kasi maraming criminal dyan na gwapo nga pero criminal naman. Meron naman dyan yung pangit pero sobrang napakabuti ng puso. Hindi naman criminal. So, anyway, in anthropological approach yun yung tinatry nilang i-differentiate dyan. Particularly the study of, nandyan din yung Ernest Hutton's theory, and then nandyan din yung study nila Cesar Lombroso during long time ago. Okay? And then, second one, medical approach. Still on the positivist theory naman ito. Nandyan sila Cesar Lombroso and his company. Dito naman sa medical approach, the application of medical examinations on offenders in order to explain the mental and physical condition of the individual prior after committing a crime. So, nandito naman, it has something to do with punishment. Okay, or in reforming or rehabilitating the criminal person. So nandyan, they are going to study the mental and physical condition of the individual. So ano ba yung mental condition niya during that time or prior or after committing the crime? So mayroon ba siyang pinagdadaanan na hindi maganda kaya naapektuhan yung pag-iisip niya? Okay, na-depress ba siya? Kaya naapektuhan yung pag-iisip niya at nagawa niya yung krimen na yon. So those are the things that are being analyzed under medical approach. So that is being made under the positivist theory, or that is the approach that was applied by the positivist theory. Okay. So another one we have here, biological approach. So dito naman by the words biological, it has something to do with the evaluation of genetics in explaining criminal behavior. So namamana ba? Okay, yung genes, namamana ba ang criminal behavior through genes? So yun, heredity. It has something to do with heredity. So yan yung ina-analyze naman dyan sa, or yan yung way on biological approach. So that is being analyzed. Genetics in relation to criminal behavior. So that was also studied, or that is the method that is, or that was used by the positivist school of criminology also. So that is under biological approach. And then physiological approach, the study of the nature of human beings, how they satisfy their physical needs. So nasabi naman kasi dito sa physiological approach, it was mentioned that cause of crimes is the deprivation of physical body from basic needs of life. So ano ba yung mga basic needs natin? So nandyan yung Maslow's theory. Let us try to have the Maslow's theory. So nandyan yung physiological needs, safety needs, love needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization. So yung pinakamataas dyan is yung self-actualization. Yung pinaka-una dyan is physiological needs. So dito, sa physiological needs, food, water, warmth, and rest. So usually yan yung common needs natin, yung kinakailangan natin. And then pumapangalawa dyan, safety needs, security or safety. And belongingness, love needs, papasok na dyan yung psychological or emotional needs. Then dyan yung relationship or intimate relationships with other people, and then friends. Okay, yung love, care na kailangan mo. Pero dito sa physiological needs, usually kapag yan ay na-deprive sa'yo, isa sa pinaka-common, and it has something to do with poverty also. Diba kapag ikaw ay wala na talagang makain, gutom na, okay? Your need of food was deprived. Ang maiisipan mo talagang magnakaw, di ba? Okay? Or gumawa ng paraan para makakuha ng pagkain. So, yun, magiging resort mo dyan is pagnanakaw. Okay? Pangungupit sa tindahan. So, that is one of the things that is being emphasized under physiological approach of criminological study. So, deprivation of basic needs. So, take note of that. That is in relation to the Maslow's theory. Tandaan ninyo. Okay? And then we have here the next one, still on subjective approaches, psychological approach naman. So, psychological approach naman, it has something to do with the deprivation from psychological needs of man. So, going back dun sa meron tayo dun sa theory ni Maslow's, mapapansin niyo dyan yung esteem needs, belongingness, and love needs, and then self-actualization. That is commonly under psychological needs, or yung dalawa, esteem needs and love needs, kasi yung last part is self-fulfillment, that is classified according to Maslow, that is classified as self-fulfillment needs. Dyan kasi nandyan yung principles already, the principles, yung kanya-kanya mong prinsipyo. Okay, and then nandyan naman yung esteem needs and belonging needs or love needs. Yan yung psychological needs. So that if that was deprived from you, that is one reason also sometimes for a person to commit a crime. Sabihin natin yung love needs. So hindi sinuklian ng yung crush, yung pagmamahal na binibigay mo sa kanya. Sa mahabang taon, 10 taon na paghihintay, hindi niya sinuklian. Sasabihin lang sa'yo, matinding no. Okay? Nasaktan ka ng sobra, and then nakita mo pa, meron siyang iba. Sometimes that causes you to create hatred sa puso mo, and then that could lead you, or that could motivate you to commit a crime. So that is an example that we could give under psychological approaches, or just to show how the psychological approach is being done or being made. So take note, psychological approach that is in relation to the theory of Maslow and Sigmund Freud. So kay Sigmund Freud naman, that is yung id, ego, and superego. If you still remember our previous discussion. So id, it talks about the pleasure principle. The ego, it talks about the realistic principle. So it is somewhat the decision maker kung ano ba yung gagawin in order to achieve the pleasure. And then the superego, that is the it talks about, or it pertains to our conscience. Okay, the conscience or inside of us. So ito yung nagsasabi, kapag yung naiisip ng ego natin is hindi maganda, ito yung pumapasok si superego, nangongonsensya. So wag mong gawin yan kasi hindi maganda yan. So yun, that is the id, ego, and superego of Sigmund Freud. And then next one, psychiatric approach naman, still on subjective approaches. It analyzes the causes of the criminal behavior. According to this approach, is mental disease as diagnosed by a trained authorized person. So mental diseases, okay? So nasabi nila one of the reason daw in here, trying to determine if mental diseases has something to do with criminality. So sometimes meron kasi tayo yung mga may mental disorders or suffering from mental diseases. Usually they are involved sometimes of criminality, especially destruction of property. Meron dyan yung mga baliw, sinisira yung lahat ng nakikita nila sa daan. Yung motor mo na nakapark doon sa labas, nagandahan siguro kaya pinagsisipa. Akala niya siguro yun ay kalaban, kaya sinipa-sipa niya hanggang sa natumba. Usually those are some crimes that are being committed by those persons who are suffering from mental diseases or mental disturbances. Usually crimes against property, destruction. So that is being analyzed under psychiatric approach of criminological study. And then psychoanalytical approach, explanation of crime based on the theory of Sigmund Freud. So it says here, states that criminal behavior is caused by repression or suppression of the basic drives. So as we have mentioned a while ago, the last time during our previous discussion, all about the id, ego, and superego. Sa id kasi nandyan din yung pleasure principle. Usually nandyan din yung sex drives natin or basic drives natin. Isa sa basic drives na meron tayo is sex drives. So sex drives, it talks about sometimes they are considered, or they are saying that it is actually a need of a person. So yun, if it is deprived from you, sabi dito, sometimes it causes you to commit a crime or that it contributes to criminal behavior. An example that we could give. Okay? So yun, sabihin natin, the libido. Yan kasi yung terminology sa libro nila na in the book. Okay? In other books of Freud to describe the sex drives or sex instinct, yung libido. So yun, sabihin natin hindi ka pinagbigyan nung crush mo na makipag-sexual intercourse sa'yo. Okay? Kayo lang dalawa sa isang kwarto. Pero yun, sabi lang niya matutulog kayo. Pero yun, ikaw gusto mo maatake yung sex drives mo or sex instinct. Pero ayaw talaga nung babae na crush mo, nakasama mo dun sa kwarto na yun. Para dadalawa lang tayo dito, sabi mo. Bakit hindi na natin samantalin? Pero ayaw nung babae kasi hindi kanya trip, hindi kanya gusto. So ang nangyari dyan, you were deprived of your basic drives, or the sex instinct na meron tayo. So the sex drive, hindi ka pinagbibigyan, you were being deprived. So anong ginawa mo? You forced the woman to have sexual intercourse with you. So that is already a crime of rape. Okay? Sinampahan ka ng kasong rape, so kasalanan mo. Okay? Pwede kang, you are liable actually kasi pinuwersa mo. So, gentlemen, do not let yourself to be in a single room with a woman, okay, na kayong dalawa lang. Okay? Para hindi gumana, okay, yung sex instincts ninyo. So, kayo, kung gusto niyo naman,
pinasaludoan kita.
Okay, or bahala kayo. Okay, so that is only one example that we could give under the psychoanalytical approach. Okay, kasi hindi lang naman sex instinct yung meron dyan na tinutukoy ni Sigmund Freud. Nandyan din yung death instincts natin, okay, the thanatos, okay, or eros, and then life instinct, okay, na actually we people us, actually, we don't want to die. We are afraid to die, di ba? So, sometimes, nandyan na, may relate naman natin yan sa self-defense. Dahil sa ayaw mong ikaw yung mapatay, kasi takot kang mamatay, nagawa mong nakipag-agawan, sabihin natin, inaatake ka, sasaksakin ka na, pero yun, nakipag-agawan ka, umilag ka, nakipag-agawan ka sa kutsilyong hawak niya until such time, accidentally mong nasaksak. So, that could be a form of self-defense, nagawa mong mapatay. It's because, yun, self-defense and in relation to death instinct. Okay? So, that is under psychological approaches. I mean, psychoanalytical approach. So, take note of that. Id, ego, and then superego. Okay? So, here in our picture, id refers to pleasure, innate desires, and sexual impulse, and others aggression. Nandyan naman yung superego, it refers to the moral, ethical, values, and parental. So, lahat magaganda yung nandyan sa superego. Dyan yung konsensya. And then, ego, mature, adaptive behavior. So, somewhat decision maker. Okay? Kaya niyang mamili between what is right and what is wrong. Okay, so that is all about the psychoanalytical approaches, and then that is also the last division of subjective approach. Second one, we have here the objective approaches. Under objective approaches, it focuses naman dun sa social processes in institutions or study of groups. Unlike dun sa kanina, subjective approaches, it focus on the criminal itself or to the person itself. Dito naman, yung nasa paligid niya. Okay, yan yung tinutukoy natin sa objective approaches. So, first one, geographic approach. We have discussed this under the Adolf Quetelet theory. Nandyan, pinag-aaralan natin yung distance. Okay, does it has something to do with topography, natural resources, geographical location? Particularly yung na-discuss natin nung nakaraan, all about doon sa distance, doon sa equator. Okay, what is the relationship ng mga bansa or ng mga areas na mas malapit doon sa equator? The crime rate of crimes against person, crimes against property, okay, in relation to those areas that are far away, farther from the equator. Okay, so that is being analyzed under geographical approach or geographic approach. And then we have here ecological approach naman, particularly on Ezra Park's theory. Nandyan yung the biotic grouping of men resulting to migration, competition, social discrimination, division of labor, and it was emphasized that social conflict are factors that cause crime. So, nandyan yung nandyan yung, an example that we could give is racial discriminations. Okay? Biotic grouping, sabi kasi dyan, yung groupings between the community. Kasi marami dyan, iba't ibang kultura. Sometimes it causes, dahil sa iba-ibang kultura, iba-ibang paniniwala, that causes to conflicts. And na-mention dyan, social conflicts leads to criminality. An example that we could give is the case doon sa US wherein the police officer, yung nag-arresting police officer, he kneels down on the neck of that black American. So yun, hindi niya namalayan na nasasakal na pala niya yung black American until such time namatay yung black American na yun. Okay, yung dinianan niya, yung pinatungan niya nung tuhod niya, yung black American. Okay, and then yun, namatay yung black American. That was caught in the camera, okay, ng isang netizen. So yun, what happened there is nakita ng mga black Americans. So anong nangyari? Nagkaroon ng malawakang rally, okay, dahil dun sa nakita nila dun sa video. Okay, that is white against black American. So kung nagkataon kasi white person yung nag-aaresto. So, yun, tingin nila talagang merong racial discrimination na pag ikaw ay black American, ikaw ay magnanakaw, okay, or mas mababa yung tingin nila dun sa black Americans, or bumabalik yung ganung pagtingin nila, okay, sa black Americans doon sa kanilang bansa. So, what happened is that nagkaroon ng malawakang rally, and then yung rally, it's not just a rally. Nagkaroon ng riot, and then nandyan na yung violent talaga na gatherings. Okay, nandyan na nagbabatuhan ng mga bomba, okay, ng mga bato and other things, okay, between the authorities and then the civilians. It's because of the issue na nangyari na yun. So nagkaroon, anong nakumit dyan? It contributes to crime also.
That is under ecological approach. And then third one, economic approach. It talks about the financial insecurity and inadequacy. So dyan, criminality has something to do with financial problems. Yes, sometimes. Diba? Kung wala kang pera, okay, and then yun, kailangan mo ng pera para makabili ng basic needs mo, and you need to some ways in order for you to achieve, okay, or to have monies to do criminal things, diba? So it has something to do, and that is being analyzed under economic approach, particularly to Robert King Merton's theory. And then sociocultural approach naman dyan, causes of crime can be traced from the effects of institutions, economics, education, politics, and religion to the people. So Albert Cohen's theory, sociocultural approach, yung mga ini-inculcate sa ating mga institutions na mga paniniwala. So in relation na dyan yung CPP-NPA, okay, na nire-relate, na sinasabi nila sa kanilang mga members, okay, sa mga young members nila, na kapag ikaw ay nahuli ng militar, ikaw ay tutorturin, ikaw ay papatayin, ikaw ay babalatan ng buhay. Mga ganong ini-inculcate nila daw sa mga mindset, okay, ng mga young NPA members, as testified by the current rebels na nag-surrender, okay, doon sa Senate. So yun, ini-inculcate sa mga young learners, and then yun yun yung tumatak sa isipan nila, kaya anong ginagawa, okay? So yun, hindi ginagawa nila ang lahat in order for them not to be caught by the militar. Ayun, nakikipagbakbakan sila, okay? Mas nagkaroon pa sila ng hate dun sa government, okay? So yun, that is under socio-cultural approach, or that is being analyzed under socio-cultural approach also. But not only on political, not only on education or institutions, but also in economics, but in religion also. Nandito naman yung tinatawag natin na contemporary approaches. So under contemporary approaches, this is the modern approach actually that is being applied or being used by the criminologists nowadays. So nandyan kasi emphasis on scientific explanation of crime and criminal behavior, but not only scientific explanation. Nandito yung sinasabi nila na integrated theory. So paano yung integrated theory? So simply the combination of all the different theories, kind of theories. Nandyan na psychoanalytical, psychiatric, and sociological explanations or sociological theories. So yan na yung tinatawag natin na integrated theory. So yan yung approach na ginagamit natin nowadays as a criminologist. We are not focusing on the physical characteristics of man in analyzing criminal behavior, but all in all, lahat ng aspeto binibigyan natin ng pansin. So that is being mentioned under contemporary approaches. Okay? So take note of that, integrated theory. So integrated theory combines ideas or concept from different sources. So nandyan na different theories. And now let us have here the theories of crime causation. So under theories of crime causation, nandito yung theory of subversion and containment. So we can see this explanation under the book of Stephen Greenblatt. So he is the author of Invisible Bullets. So nandyan yung description niya on theory of subversion and containment. So that was in the year 1988. So he mentioned here the capacity of the dominant order to generate subversion so as to use it to its own ends. Kasi doon sa libro niya in Invisible Bullets, dinescribe niya yung experience ng isang historian and missionary na napadpad sa isang lugar ng Native Americans. So yung Native Americans na tinatawag nila noon is yung mga Indian people. Okay? So yun, napadpad yung missionary na yun. So during that time kasi doon sa lugar na yun, uncivilized pa. Gusto ng missionary or nung historian na yun, nung tao na yun, na i-civilize. Okay? Gawing civilized din yung mga Native Americans na yun. So, paanong civilize para magkaroon ng enlightenment, mas magkaroon ng muwang sa advancement ng technology and others. So, yun, napadpad siya sa lugar ng mga natives na yun. And then, yung mga natives na yun, wala pa silang kamuwang-muwang sa mga technologies, lahat-lahat or ibang bagay. So, nung nakita nila dun yung taong to, okay, yung historian or missionary na ito, they were amazed to him. Okay, na-amaze siya. Na-amaze yung mga Native Americans dun sa taong ito, dun sa historian na yon na tinutukoy ni Stephen Greenblatt sa kanyang Invisible Bullets. Na-amaze. Nakikita nila yung mga relo, yung mga gamit niya, yung mga bag niya, yung mga telescope, lahat-lahat ng mga gamit niya. Na-amaze yung mga Native Americans na yon. Okay? Hindi nila alam, okay, na kung ano lang yung mga yan, na simpleng relo lang pala ang mga yan. Pero sa tingin nila, sa paningin nila, God yung tao na yon. Okay? Sa mata nila, God. Okay? Diyos yung taong yun. Kasi meron siyang mga inventions, okay, na mga relo na na-amaze yung mga Native American. So with that, tingin nila sa kanya is Diyos. And then, meron dyan, yung event dyan is nagkaroon ng famine or nagkaroon ng drought. Tagtuyot. Okay? So, walang tubig as in para sa kanilang palay. So, ang nangyari doon is, sinabi nitong taong to, nung missionary, na if you just believe in me, okay, maniwala lang kayo sa akin, magtiwala lang kayo sa Diyos na sinasamba ko, then, sooner or the next time, or sa mga susunod na panahon, siguradong mas gaganda yung anihin ninyo. Okay, parang ganun yung na-mention doon wherein ginawa niya. Okay, parang shinare niya yung about sa Christianity kasi he believed that we can achieve civilization through Christianity. So yun yung ginawa niya, and then anong nangyari? Naniwala naman ng mga Native Americans. So yun, na-inculcate sa kanila ang Christianity, ginagawa nila kung anong ginagawa nung American na yun or nung taong yun, nung historian or missionary na yun. Sinusunod nila. It's because of, na-mention dito, dominant order. Okay, yung dominant. Okay, yung mas superior. Yung mas superior, mas may maraming mas maraming mai-inculcate na sabihin natin na contribution or dun sa mas mababa or sa kanyang mga subordinates. Mas marami siyang influence na maibibigay dun sa mga nasa ibaba niya. Parang nung nangyari or description dun sa Invisible Bullets. Nasabing Invisible Bullets kasi parang hindi natin nakikita pero naapektuhan yung ating mindset. Okay? Na-influence yung ating isipan. Parang sa sa situation ng NPA, nandyan yung brainwashing. So anong ginagawa ng mga superior? Ini-inculcate na ma-achieve natin ang magandang buhay para sa ating bansa kapag tayo ay sa pamamagitan ng revolution, okay, or ma-achieve natin through communism. Parang ganun yung ini-inculcate, okay? And then tumatatak naman sa mga young learners. So anong nangyari? Sumusunod sila doon sa mga superior nila. It's because of the dominant order has or can generate subversion, okay? Or can generate influence to doon sa mga nasa lower, okay, or nasa mas mababa, okay, na position. So that is being referred to under subversion and containment, okay? The dominant person can dominate or can contain the subordinates or can contain the mindset or the behavior of those persons who are in the lower position. So parang yan yung gusto nating i-emphasize dyan sa theory of subversion and containment. So that is in the book of Stephen Greenblatt, Invisible Bullets. Invisible bullets in a way na wala namang balang tumatama, pero yung mga messages na sinashare, okay, it has something to, or it influence our mindset or binabago yung pag-iisip natin. Nandyan yung brainwashing. So be careful with that also because it is actually an issue. So wag kayong basta-basta mag-join ng kung ano-ano dyan na nagsasabi tayo ay ang gobyerno natin ay dapat palitan, mga ganun. So please, my dear student, wag niyong hayaan na kayo ay wag niyong hayaan na kayo ay matulad dun sa mga nandun sa Supreme Court, I mean sa Senate ngayon na nagte-testify na former member na nagahasa, former member na naabuso. Okay? Don't let yourself get caught in that kind of situation. So next one we have here differential association theory. Under differential association theory, that was proposed or that was studied by Edwin Sutherland. So actually he is a sociologist, that was in 1939. So proposes that people learn values, attitudes, techniques, and motives for criminal behavior through their interactions with others. So natututo tayo through indulgence with other person. Okay? Sa pakikihalubilo
Huwag yung intindi ito, pilipitan dila nito.
halubilo natin sa mga barkada natin. Okay? So, tignan ninyo, piliin na ninyo yung mga barkada ninyo. Kasi it is true that we can learn from our peer, okay, or our groups. So, sa mga taong kinakakasalamuhan natin. Okay? So, this is actually true under differential association theory. We can learn from them. Okay? So, tignan ninyo, mabuti yung matututunan nyo sa kanila, hindi yung masasama na gawain. Okay? So, under these theories of crime causation, actually, we are not going to discuss it deeper, okay, or masyado. Because you are going to learn this more detailed under your subject, theories of crime causation, for the second semester. So, next one, we have here theory of differential oppression naman. Sabi naman dito ni John D. Hewitt in Delinquency and Society in 1991, sabi niya, contends that the problem behaviors children experience are the consequences of the way they were treated by adults in their lives. So, nandito yung pang-aabuso ng mga adults dun sa mga kabataan nung sila pa ay maliliit. Okay? So, it has something to do yung mga abuses na pinagdaanan nila. It contributes, magbabackfire yan sa isipan nila in the future, maiisip nila yung mga violence na yun. It has something to do with their behavior. So, yan yung sinasabi natin sa theory of differential oppression. And then, kung mapapansin nyo, some studies nagsasabi na common na mga nagiging kriminal na tao is yung kapag titignan mo yung background niya, yung pamilya niya, or yung pinagdaanan niya noon is pang-aabuso. He was abused, physically abused, mentally abused, lahat ng klaseng pang-aabuso naranasan na. So those are some proof or studies that confirms that this theory of differential oppression is actually true also. We have here now the rational theories. I mean, rational choice theory. Dito sa rational choice theory, it was mentioned here that individuals use rational calculations. Paanong rational calculations? So we have here, we actually have the capability to measure, okay, yung gain dun sa pain. Okay? An example that we could give is gain with the pain. So nandyan makakalculate natin kapag nagnakaw ako ng 5 milyon at makukulong lang ako ng 5 araw. Okay? Walang walang problema, parang ganun yung maiisip mo, di ba? Nandyan yung weighing of pain versus gain. So yun, pag nag-commit ako ng crime, ito lang yung penalty na meron ako. So ibig sabihin, pag mas not in accordance yung penalty or not inappropriate doon sa krimen na nagawa niya, okay? Yung penalty is inappropriate or he does not weigh also the weight of the crime that he committed, then useless itong penalty na ito. So it should be, kinakailangan, it does not outweigh, okay, it does not outweigh also the penalty. It should be in accordance. So dapat kung ano yung gaano kagrabe yung krimen na ginawa niya, ganun din dapat yung penalty. Grabe din yung penalty niya. Hindi yung grabe yung ginawa niyang penalty pero light yung penalty niya, then that is being calculated. Meron tayo yung rational choice theory. So pag nakita nung tao yun, yung individual na yun, tendency mas gagawa siya ng krimen kasi nakita niya mas marami siyang benefit, okay, kaysa dun sa penalty na makukuha niya in case na siya ay mahuli. So sabihin natin death penalty Or sabihin natin, yung kapag siya ay ng rape, puputulan siya ng are.
Finish na.
Okay, yun yung penalty. So, tendency niyan, maiisip ng tao, huwag na lang akong mang-rape kasi baka mahuli ako. Grabe yung penalty na magsasuffer siya. So, yun yung yan yung sinasabi natin sa rational choice theory na individuals has or uses rational calculations. Same with the criminal person also. They calculate between the pain and then the gain, okay, na makukuha nila. Okay, or the benefit or the satisfaction in relation to the penalty that they could encounter or they might encounter. So we have here also the routine activity theory. So under routine activity theory, it is developed by Cohen and Felson. So there are 3 elements naman dito sa routine activity theory. So na-mention dyan a motivated offender. So that is the one theory. Okay, yung criminal person or would-be criminal person. And then suitable victim, okay, or suitable target. And then the last one is the absence of capable guardian. So, pag nasabi niya, kapag nag-exist yung 3 elemento na ito, crime would happen. So, sabihin natin, an example that we could give nandito. Isang bata naglalakad sa kalye mag-isa. So, what do you think? Meron siyang dala-dala na, sabihin natin, mamahaling relo. Okay? So, isang bata naglalakad sa kalye, nag-iisa lang siya, walang kasama, and then, meron siyang hawak-hawak or may dala siyang relo. So, yun, meron doon, suitable target, di ba? Kasi bata pa yan. Okay? Suitable target, suitable victim. And then, meron dyan, the third element, walang guardian. Okay? Wala siyang guardian, wala siyang kasama. So, meron na, nag-exist yung dalawa. And then, nandyan ka, okay, motivated offender na nangangailangan ng pera. So, yun, nakita mo yung bata, then the crime would exist. Pag wala yung isa, sabihin natin, baguhin natin yung situation. Nandyan ka, magnanakaw. And then, sa kalye, naglalakad yung bata. Pero ngayon, meron siyang kasama, okay, na matanda. And then, malaki yung katawan. May baril. So, wala na yung ano doon, wala na yung element number 3. So, there is already the presence of a capable guardian. Kaya hindi mo magagawa yung krimen. So, that is under routine activity theory. And then, social disorganization theory naman, a theoretical perspective that explains ecological differences in levels of crime based on structural and cultural factors shaping the nature of the social order across communities. Social disorganization theory naman, it pertains to those disorganized society. Okay? Doon sa bad neighborhood. Okay? Hindi nila kayang i-sustain or i-contain yung mga attitude ng bawat membro ng nandun sa society na yun. Then that could lead to, or that could contribute in shaping, okay, in shaping the personality of those members of the society na kinabibilangan niya, okay, or kinabibilangan ng isang tao. So that is being pertained to in social disorganization theory. It's because of the disorganized, okay, hindi maayos na society, hindi maayos na komunidad. Okay? Walang nasusunod or walang sumusunod sa mga batas na nai-implement doon. Then that is considered as social disorganized. Socially disorganized, then that could contribute to criminal behavior also. Social learning theory naman, a theory of learning process and social behavior which proposes that new behaviors can be acquired by observing and imitating others, which is true. So we learn new things actually by observing, okay? By observing and then as well as by imitating, in a way na gagawin din natin, tutularan natin yung nakita natin, di ba? So it is true. So that is it has something to do with criminal behavior also. Kaya kapag nakikita natin yung mga ginagawa ng matanda sa harapan natin, binabaril, magaling sa paghawak ng baril, and then basta-basta na lang niya binabaril yung nakikita niya dyan sa paligid niya, then nakita mo yun, na-observe mo, and tinutularan mo. So that could support social learning theory. Okay? So we learn through observation and then through imitation. yung nakikita natin sa paligiran. And then strain theory, nandito naman yung study ni Robert K. Merton. So ano naman dito? States that society puts pressure on individuals to achieve socially accepted goals through they lack the means. So nandito na yung frustration. Nandito yung masasabi natin na frustration. So paano yun? Okay, yung strain na ito. Okay, yung gusto mong magpulis. Or sabihin natin, gusto mong makapag-aral or magpulis. Pero hindi ka makapagpulis or hindi ka makapag-aral dahil sa wala kang pera. Okay? Walang susuporta sa iyo, wala kang financial. So gustong-gusto mong maging pulis pero wala ka talagang pangtustos sa pag-aaral mo. So 'yun, it's because na hindi mo ma-achieve yung goal mo sa legal na paraan. Hindi mo siya ma-achieve sa legal na paraan kasi wala kang kakayahan. Okay? Ang ginagawa mo, pwede mong, nasabi ni Robert K. Merton, pwede mong, that could contribute to criminality. Ngayon, in order for you na magkaroon ng pang-tuition is, magiging magnanakaw ka. Okay? Magnanakaw ka sa gabi and then mag-aaral ka sa umaga, mga ganun. Or another one, to show frustration also is that meron din yung mga tao na hindi nila na-achieve yung gusto nila sa buhay. Sabihin natin, gusto nilang yumaman. Okay? Financial freedom. Ma-achieve yung financial freedom. Pero yun nga, wala siyang tinapos. So, wala siyang tinapos, wala siyang trabaho na maayos, hindi niya ma-achieve yung goal niya sa buhay na yumaman. Say, there is frustration. So, according to Robert K. Merton, that strain or those frustration could lead to criminal behavior also. So, sometimes yung mga taong yun, yung hindi nila na-achieve sa legal na paraan, okay, legitimate na paraan, ang ginagawa nila, nanluloko na lang sila ng ibang tao. Okay? They committed a crime of fraud or falsification or forgeries, estafa, and others. So, yun yung example na may bibigay natin sa strain theory. And then, emphasize din dito, yung pwede kang, dahil sa wala kang hindi mo makuha yung gusto mo sa legal na paraan, yung mga gamit na gusto mong kunin, material na bagay na gusto mong kunin, hindi mo makuha sa legal na paraan, ginagawa mo na lang, nagnanakaw, or kung hindi man para magkaroon ka ng pera is yun, nagbebenta ka ng drugs. And aside from that, sabihin natin sa mga kababaihan, okay, wala silang pang tuition financially. So some of these students issues noon sa mga universities, yung mga dalaga, okay, they indulge themselves in prostitution just to have money. Okay? So that is actually a crime. Victimless crime yung sinasabi natin dyan. Public order crimes. So that is under strain theory of Robert Merton. Labeling theory naman posits that self-identity and the behavior of the individual may be determined or influenced by the terms used to describe or classify them. So an example that we could give here is yung nangyari kay Rostom Padilla. So if you know him, Rostom Padilla, he is known today as Bibi Gandang Hari. So nilabelan siya kasi noon. Diba? I don't know, but in some of these stories na narinig ko about sa kanya is meron yung pwede nating may example siya dito sa labeling theory na nilabelan siya na bading, okay, na malambot gumalaw, bading siya, and then until such time bumigay siya, ginawa, tinutuon niya talaga yung sinasabi or nung pinang-label nung tao sa kanya na bading siya, okay, na ganun siya. So yun, bumigay, and then hanggang ngayon naging transgender, naging bakla na. Okay? So ganun din sa criminality. Okay? Especially yung mga batang laki sa yung mga magulang nila na kriminal. Okay? Na binubuli na anak ng kriminal. Okay? Mga pamilyang kriminal. Okay? Or kriminal dahil sa tatay niya isang kriminal din. Okay? Ginajudge or panglilabel dun sa mga taong yun. Sometimes it could lead, also it could influence them to commit criminal or to have or to possess criminal behaviors also. So that is under labeling theory. And then neutralization theory it says here, when offenders consider committing deviant acts, they use various linguistic devices to neutralize the guilt associated with their actions. So sometimes nandito na yung defense mechanisms ng mga criminals wherein tinatanggi nila yung mga krimen na ginawa nila. Okay? In order na, usually yung mga criminals, they try to neutralize the crimes that they have committed. Okay? So, nandyan, sasabihin, kasalanan ng biktima. Inatakin niya kasi ako, kaya ako siya nagawang suntukin, and then accidentally kong napatay. So, mga ganong mga ganong neutralization techniques. And then, aside from that, okay, yung i-deny nila, hindi ko naman siya intention na talaga saktan. Okay, hindi ko intention na gawin yun sa kanya, mga ganong bagay. Okay? So, pinilit niya lang akong gawin yun sa kanya kasi kasalanan din niya, mga ganon. So, blaming the victim. Ganong neutralization technique. So, that is being projected or presented under neutralization theory. And then conflict theories naman, nandito, conflict theory focuses on competition between groups within society over limited sources. So, simply, conflicts between society members could lead to criminality. So, hindi magandang hindi nyo pagkakaintindihan ng mga kapitbahay mo, that could lead to criminality. Magpatayan na kayo, magbugbugan. So, that is under conflict theories. Conflicts between the members of the society could lead to criminality. And then social contract theory, it was emphasized here that people live together in society in accordance with an agreement that establishes moral and political rules of behavior. Some people believe that if we live according to social contract, we can live morally by our own choice and not because of divine being requires it. So under here, social contract theory, what should we do as a part of the community or part of the society? So nandyan, we should abide with the laws that are being implemented by our government or by the head of the society or by that is being agreed upon by the members of the community. Okay, so as a member of the society, you should abide with those. In violation with those, it is considered as violation of the contract, okay, that you have with the society, which is to live together in a society in accordance, okay, with the agreement na in-establish ninyo. So, okay, so that is under social contract theory. So it is saying that people who live together should bind or should observe those agreements that is being established in their specific society. And then anomy theory naman, it is the study of Emil Durkheim. So it is based upon the idea that lack of rules and clarity resulted. Ito naman, isa daw sa dahilan ng criminality or disorder sa isang society is because of normlessness. Kasi pag sinabing anomy is non-presence or non-existence. Okay? So, or normlessness yung pag sinabi nating anomy. Okay? So, lack of rules. Wala tayong batas na sinusunod. Okay? Meron man tayong batas pero hindi klaro. Okay? Yung batas, nagkakaroon yan ng misunderstanding or pag-aaway-away. Okay, so yun yung nakita or sinasabi ni Emil Durkheim dyan sa anomy theory niya na absence or lack of those laws na masusunod causes these social disorganizations, okay, dun sa lugar na yan. So that is being emphasized by Emil Durkheim. Take note, not only lack of rules but also clarity or lack of clarity doon sa batas na yun. So, sometimes, di ba, doon sa terrorism na yun, okay? Terrorism Act na pinasa noon, bago pa yan naging batas, di ba? Pinag-awayan pa yan, okay? Pinagdebatehan pa yan, hindi magkakasundo yung mga tao, nagkaroon ng rally doon, rally dyan, okay? So, it causes sometimes non-clarity of those rules that are being implemented causes to conflicts that could lead to criminality also. And then we have here differential identification theory naman. A person pursues criminal behavior to the extent that he identifies himself with real or imaginary persons. From whose perspective his criminal behavior seems acceptable. Sometimes this under differential identification theory, it pertains or it has something to do also with those persons who are suffering from psychological or psychological disturbances, kagaya ng sociopath and psychopath. Sometimes itong mga taong to, yung mga napapanood nila, okay? Sometimes meron yung mga ibang tao na kung ano yung napapanood nila, yung nakikita nila, parang ginagaya nila, ini-imitate, and then ginagawa mismo kung ano yung ginagawa ng napanood nila or nakita nila. Yung ginagawa in reality, ina-apply. Pero not knowing or not finding it out as his criminal behavior seems acceptable to him. Okay, he say it seems na yun ay okay lang. Sa tingin niya is okay lang. So an example that we could give is yung si Robin Hood. Okay? So meron diyan, okay, na ginagaya yung buhay ni Robin Hood. So yun, ano ba kasi yung ginagawa ni Robin Hood? Nagnanakaw siya. Ninanakawan yung mga mayayaman, and then yung mga nakaw na gamit binibigay dun sa mga mahirap. Yung mga pera na nanakaw nila binibigay sa mahirap. So ganun, ginagaya niya yung buhay ni Robin Hood. Okay, ano yung mga ginagawa niya, and then yan. So that is under differential identification theory. And then imitation suggestion theory naman, that is under the study of Gabriel Tarde. Most people are not inventive but only copy what they see from other people. Tarde codified his ideas in the 3 laws of imitation. So nandito under imitation suggestion theory under Gabriel Tarde, the laws of imitation. Number 1 is law of close contact. So you can imitate the attitude of a certain person or behavior of a certain person by being in close contact, di ba? The more na mas closer yung contacts ninyo, palagi kayong nagsasama, you can influence each other's behavior. The law of imitation of superiors by inferiors. So kung ano yung ginagawa ng superior mo, okay, ng idolo mo, di ba? Nagagaya mo, ini-imitate mo. So that is under number 2. And number 3, the law of insertion. So aside from ito ay ginagaya mo, okay, yung mga nakikita mo, okay, sa superior mo, okay, or it's because dun sa mga nasa close contact sa'yo, law of insertion, nandyan naman yung dinadagdagan mo, okay, or you are giving, okay, your own ideas or own opinions with regards to that. So that is under the imitation suggestion theory of Gabriel Tarde. And then conflict of culture theory, also known as cultural deviance theory. It's because it is in relation to the groups or different groups of persons in the society. So nandyan na different tribes, okay, or during the ancient times, nandyan yung tribal wars, particularly in the highlands. Okay, and then other groups of katagulugans or members of the society dyan sa mga may bandang Mindanao. Okay, during the ancient times, merong mga conflicts between those. So it's because of, or we can say that it's because of the different practices na meron sila. So conflict of culture theory, it has something to do with criminality also. So nandyan, nagpapatayan na sila, okay, nagkakasiraan na sila, and others. And then containment theory naman, it is by Reckless. It says here, a form of control theory proposed by Walter Reckless in 1940s to 1960s. So it says here, the theory contends that the series of external social factors effectively insulate certain individuals from criminal involvement. Kasi nandito yung tinatawag natin na external factors and internal factors. So yung tinutukoy natin na external social factors, nandyan yung influence ng mga taong nasa paligid mo. Okay, ng nanay mo, influence ng nanay mo, influence ng tatay mo, influence ng kaibigan mo. Yun yung mga external factors na tinutukoy natin. For the internal factors, nandyan naman yung galit mo. Okay, yung nararamdaman mo sa sarili mo. Okay, yung within yourself, kaya nasabing internal. So nandyan yung mga prinsipyo mo. Okay, yung galit mo, nararamdaman mo sa loob mo. Okay? And then mga naiisip mo. So yun yung internal factors na tinutukoy natin. So if you were not able to contain, in example, yung feelings mo, sabihin natin sa emotions, yung feelings mo, na galit. If you were not able to contain that, hindi mo yun na pigilan, then that could lead to, or sometimes leads to criminality. That is according to the containment theory. So yun, if you were able to contain those feelings within yourself, then tendency, or you could not be, or that could not lead you to criminality. Pero yun, kapag hindi mo yun na-contain, usually, that contributes for you to become a criminal person also. So that is being referred to under containment theory by Walter Reckless. So all in all, those are some of the theories that you might learn in your theories of crime causation. So take note, napakaraming pwedeng maidagdag dyan. So ang ginawa lang natin in this subject or in this video is just a simple introduction about those theories, so that if you were able to reach second semester, then hindi na kayong mabibigla kung ano yung mga theory na ito. So at least meron na kayong idea. Okay, so those are only some of the theories of crime causation that we could give for now. So that's it for our video recording for today, and I hope that you have learned something. So with that, I would like to end this video and see you next time.
Hey! Kinaligot sinundot ang kanyang eng 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 eng